Totally wasn't not quick enough on the draw with that transition. Not me, nope, not at all. Right. Hey, brainless dude, how are you? Oh my gosh. Hectic. Not that late once. Woo! Oh. Had to move everything back over from the neighbour's house, ready for this. Hey, Super Ghost Love. Right. What the fuck is going on out there? No clue. Hey, Sidechain Bane. Long time no see, sweetie. Oh, how is everyone? God, I'm sweating one out. Yeah. Oops. How is everyone? Bip, bip, bip. Hey, Global Mum Love, how are you? I am properly out of Discord, aren't I? Hey, Skits. Oh. Hang on a sec. Okay. Yep. Blame Skits. Right. So I should be able to do this way now. That way, slightly easier to be like multi-screening. There we go. God, it's not like you could just log in and do it yourself. No. Right. I thought I was logged in properly, but I'm not. Me, if something don't go wrong, eh? Fuck it. I don't like having a camera like that, because then instead of being able to look towards you guys, I have to look to the other screen. That's why I wanted to be able to read on the tablet, because then I can be like reading and looking and, you know, doing it that way. And like, I'm literally designing a big leather bound book to be a tablet holder for all of this. Like, it's in the works, but it's taking like fucking ages. What do you mean you don't know how brainless? You could do it in StreamYards. Gah. Says he's brainless, but he's not. He's just a fucking numpty. Okay. So, first story first. This is by user Spooky State of Mind Pod. And I played with a Ouija board, and now there's a growing darkness that haunts me. A few months ago, I had a slumber party for Friday the 13th. It was especially creepy because it was in October. I had 3 friends over, and for the sake of this story, we'll call them Cindy, Janet, and Abby. They came over around 6 p.m. and we were going down in the basement, playing around with Mum's scraps of fabric, trying to piece together Halloween costumes. Cindy wrapped a purple scarf around her bust and said she needed a green miniskirt and she could be Ariel. Janet was wearing a flannel and grabbed a straw hat and proclaimed she'd be a scarecrow. Abby was rummaging through Mum's trunk, and that's when it all began. She pulled out a dusty, tattered old box with big white letters that spelled out Ouija. And it was just like the movies. We all went silent as we saw it. "Oh, fuck yeah," Abby exclaimed. "Who's down for a little bit of danger tonight?" We were all giddy with excitement, but there was a weird feeling in the pit of my stomach. We'd gone through that trunk a million times, but that box was never there. It almost seemed to appear out of thin air. Cool. We placed our hands on the planchette and went round the board 3 times, just like we'd seen in the movies. The feeling in my stomach grew, trying to consume me, but I convinced myself it was just because of all the horror movies I'd just watched, and it being Friday the 13th. We all looked at each other and said in unison, "Hello." Followed by giggling. My internet keeps ducking in and out. Is it glitching a bit for you guys? And hey, Al. Right, this worked last night. Let's see if it helps. Print line. Okay. Oh, it didn't take this long last time. Okay, hopefully that will help. Right, third try a charm, hopefully. Otherwise, it's just a bit fucked. Okay, I'll give it a minute. I'll keep reading. We all looked at each other in unison. We all looked at each other and in unison said, "Hello," followed by giggling. I couldn't believe we were playing with a Ouija board. But I wondered why my mum never mentioned having one before. She knew we were totally into all the spooky and witchy things. Abby went first and asked, "What's your name?" And the planchette started moving. Emily. Who's moving it? This isn't funny, Janet said. But we all said it wasn't us. I know I certainly wasn't moving it. How old are you? Sydney went next. Again, the planchette started moving. Okay, this really isn't funny, Janet continued. But we all kept playing. 9. It's a little girl, Jan, I said in the hopes of assuring her. Look, I'll go next. Will Dylan ask Janet to the haunted hayride? Cindy and Abby giggled as Janet took her hands off the planchette and stood up and said, Okay, I'm done. This isn't fun. She stopped abruptly. The planchette started moving again, this time to no. Real funny, guys. You're real assholes, she continued. Relax. It was just me teasing, Abby said as she removed her hands from the planchette, prompting Cindy to do the same. They started arguing, but I kept on playing. That feeling inside me screaming at me to stop, but something made me keep playing. How did you die? I asked, and everyone looked back at me. K-N-I-F-E. That's not funny, Mel, Abby sputtered. I swear I didn't move it, I said. But I knew I was lying. I stood up and suggested we go to my room and watch the movies we had picked out. We started up the stairs when we heard it. We all looked back and saw the planchette moving across the board erratically. We couldn't believe our eyes. The stairs started shaking and the light bulb went out. It was pitch black and we all fell on top of each other and were now on the ground. I screamed, the weight of the others on me. I knew my leg was broken. Our screams turned into whimpers as I heard my mum yell if we were okay. When we didn't answer, I heard footsteps above me, and then the door opened and the lights turned back on. "What's going on in here?" she exclaimed, and went rushing down the stairs when she saw us all on top of each other. "Abby, what happened?" she said. And that's when I saw her, standing over the board. There's no way she could have avoided the collision. She was behind me, and she was behind me, and I felt her under my body. But it didn't matter. She was over the board. The adrenaline was slowly wearing off, and I began to groan. Everyone got off me. The sight signalling everyone to look down at me, and we saw the bone sticking out of my pants. What bone white meant. Sorry, I'm changing that. Hang on. Everyone got off me, and there was blood all over Janet's shirt. Me out of my pants. And that's when I knew why that's when I knew why the planchette had erratically spelled out bone white. Stay put, as if I could move. And I could hear her talking to the 911. Abby leaned down and whispered in my ear, "Emily says that's just the beginning." And she proceeded to walk up the stairs. Her breath lingered in my ear, and that feeling in my stomach grew into a pitch-black hole, swallowing my stomach. The ambulance came and took me away, and I heard my mum tell Abby to take everyone home. She was the only one of us with a car and a license. I yelled and said she couldn't take them home. She couldn't take them anywhere. My mum thought I just wanted them to come with me, but I couldn't let them anywhere near it. I don't know how I knew, but I just did. Abby wasn't Abby anymore. And Emily certainly wasn't a little girl. I had to stop them, but I was getting lightheaded from the blood loss, and then everything went black. I woke up in a hospital room to my mum in the corner, fast asleep, the sun shining brightly outside the window. "Mum," I was able to croak. She jumped and looked at me with a look of grievance. "What happened?" I asked. "You broke your leg and had emergency surgery because you were losing a lot of blood." "It's Saturday morning." "Where are my friends? Can I see them? What happened last night?" Her eyes began tearing up, and she had the same look on her face as she did when my dad died. And I knew then, whatever had a hold on Abby did something. There was an accident, Abby. There was an accident. Abby was driving the girls home when a drunk driver ran a red light and hit them. "I'm so sorry," she said as tears began streaming down her face. "Cindy and Janet weren't wearing seat belts, and they didn't make it." I went hysterical. I started wailing. The back pit in my stomach returned, now even bigger. I couldn't believe it, but at the same time, I knew it was going to happen. Abby is here for observation. She only seems to have a concussion and a few stitches. I hope the crash expelled whatever was inside her, but I knew it probably killed what was left of Abby. What happened last night anyway, Mum? What happened last night anyway? My mum asked. We were going upstairs to watch some movies. Then the planchette on your Ouija board started going crazy. The lights went out, stairs were shaking, and then everyone fell. My Ouija board? Sweetie, what are you talking about? I've never played with a Ouija board. Mum, we found it in your trunk of scrap fabric. Sorry, sweetie, that's not mine. Did one of you bring it and hide it in there? I don't know. Maybe, I said. But I knew none of us brought it in. I was discharged and returned home. The numb feeling was due to everything that had happened and had nothing to do with my meds. I stayed home Monday and Tuesday, but returned Wednesday. Everyone was nice to me. I broke my leg and had just lost my best friends. All of them. Abby tried acting normal, but I knew what she really was. I had lunch with Dylan, and we talked about Cindy and Janet, and how we couldn't believe what had happened. Abby said she was going off campus for lunch, but we stayed behind. After a few weeks passed, and it was just me and Dylan every day at lunch. Abby had her own friends. She never hung out with us even before the crash, only outside of school. We weren't cool enough for her. Dylan started school when we worked on our homework together. We were getting close after the crash. We had always been friends, but never got too close because Janet had a huge crush on him. It felt like we could actually be friends now that she was gone, and I felt guilty for that. I felt guilty for finding solace. A few more weeks went by and Abby was getting more and more popular as I grew more and more numb. I sat behind her in English and noticed something strange. The back of her neck was scabbing. It's almost as though her flesh was rotting, and it was black and flaking off. How could none of her friends have noticed? Was that thing inside her finally making its way out? After school, Dylan came over to work on our homework, and I finally confided all my thoughts and experiences to him, and he looked at me with disbelief. I mean, I don't blame him. I'd think I was crazy too if I hadn't seen everything with my own eyes. Geez, Mel, you can't just say someone's possessed because they're getting more and more popular. What happened was an accident. Abby didn't kill them. The drunk driver did. Abby didn't kill them. The drunk driver is in jail. That's all we can ask for at this point, he said. I know, but I began. You weren't there. You didn't see the blackness in her eyes. Please, just pay attention to her at school and you'll see what I mean. Okay. I just want you to be okay. This year's been horrible for all of us, he said as he pulled me in for a hug. He began stroking my hair and I immediately felt more at ease. It'll be okay, I promise, he whispered in my ear. I don't know what came over me, but I turned to kiss his neck. He pushed me away and looked at me with surprise before pulling me in and kissing me. Oh God, he tasted sweet and familiar, and for the first time in months I felt something. We kept kissing until we became one. He kissed my forehead as we laid on the shag carpet in the basement. The basement. The place where it all started. I started crying and pleading that he believe me about Abby. Hey, it's okay. I believe you. I'll stop paying attention, I promise, he said as he pulled me in closer. Oh, hey, Ken. Hey, Ollie, man. And just to reiterate before people make jokes, that they're minors in this. That the coming together didn't mean that they're just being cute and innocent little kids. Okay, let's not be weird. Let's not be weird. When they're over 18, we can be fucking weird. Okay. Okay. A few more weeks passed, and we talked about Abby more. He was finally able to see what I was talking about. The scabbing on her back, the scabbing on the back of her neck spread, and it was getting harder and harder for her to hide it. I noticed her fingers turning black too. And then she came to school wearing gloves, claiming it was poor circulation in the cold. But I knew better. We knew better. We decided we needed to take action. Someone had to put an end to Abby, and whatever was inside of her, we couldn't let anyone else die because of her. I invited Abby over. I told her I didn't like the way things were between us, and I wanted things to be better. She agreed and said she'd come over Friday night. Dylan and I prepared everything we would need. Trash bags, a knife, and that dreaded Ouija board. She came downstairs to the basement and we sat in silence for a few minutes. What happened that night, I was finally able to muster. We were almost to Jan's house when some drunk ran through a red light and hit us. We were only going down the street to her house, and we were going to sleep there until we found out you were going to be okay. All I remember was seeing glass everywhere, and then everything went black. I didn't find out they didn't make it until I woke up in the hospital, she said, trying to hold back tears. I didn't believe a single word that came out of its mouth. I knew it was all a ploy to gain my sympathy. But that wasn't Abby. I can feel the same blackness growing inside me, signalling it was time to act before it got too much power. I tucked my hair behind my ear, and that was Dylan's sign to knock her out. He took my mum's old candlestick and hit her, and her body thudded on the ground motionless. I quickly got up and started laying the trash bags on the floor so as to not get any blood on the shag carpet. Otherwise my mum would never let me live it down. Dylan and I rolled her limp body onto the centre of the room, and I grabbed the knife from its hiding place under the couch cushion, and I lifted it past my head when Dylan interrupted. Are you sure? I've never been so sure of anything in my life. I know it was lying. That thing isn't Abby. I've never been so sure of anything in my life. I know it was lying. That thing isn't Abby, I yelled as I plunged a knife into her chest, hoping I got right where the heart was supposed to be. It let out a small gasp, trying to catch its breath. It whispered, "Why?" as I pulled the knife out and kept plunging it into its lifeless body. I had to be sure it was really gone. If it was going to take my friends, I had to put an end to it before it took me too. Dylan stopped me at some point, reminding me that my mum would be home soon. I half expected the body to sort of go up in flames, but when it didn't, I knew what I had to do. Dylan and I wrapped the body in the trash bags and stuffed its limp body into the trunk along with the Ouija board. I hoped whatever it was took the Ouija board back to wherever it came from, and that it would take the body with it. All I know is the body is still there, and the growing blackness is consuming me still. It's moved on, and I need to find wherever it went. The end. I really liked that one. No, like that's the thing. Were they possessed? Was that just a mini earthquake? They happen. Is this girl schizophrenic? Because she mentions that she was having this like ongoing feeling of emptiness and it wasn't just the meds. But then she's also broke her leg, emergency surgery. They're going to give her painkillers. And like, here's the other thing. I don't know if this is a writer's error or not, but remember, right at the very beginning of it, K, how did you die? I asked, and everyone looked back at me. K-N-I-F-E. That's not funny, Mel, Abby sputtered. I swear I didn't move it, I said, but knew I was lying. So, was she always planning on killing Abby? The drink driving thing was just a like happenstance. And she's changed the name of the girls, but it could have spelled out the girl's name. Emily could be the girl's real name. Like, yeah, if there's another part to this, it could be really cool. Yeah. The life of the wife was ended by the knife. I think she's got it. Oh, that was really good. Oh, are you okay, Al? I hope you're okay, Alhan. Not sure what popped, but I hope you're all right. Okay. Now this one was a bit of a head fuck for me. Well, actually, I don't think it'll. No, that's a long one. Brainless. Is Slim on time or running late? Oh, okay. So I'll do the short one. Thanks, Brainless. So, I had a video call with my husband, who works on an oil rig. It didn't end well. It was going. At 10 minutes. Sorry about that. Sorry. It was going to be the most important video call of my life. In the past 6 months, my husband and I had only seen each other once, but we'd made it count. I ran my fingers over my abdomen as I recalled that amazing night. According to the doctors, the date of my pregnancy coincided perfectly with the last time I'd seen my husband, and I couldn't wait to share the good news. I hadn't expected his visit that night. I'd been boiling some pasta with a half-finished glass of wine in my hand when the apartment intercom sounded, and there he was, flowers in hand, wolfish smile on his face, tanned by the time on the rig. As we embraced, I even thought I could smell the sea salt in his hair. It had been so long since I'd seen those crystal blue eyes, that muscular back. There was no time to talk, no need to. I barely remembered to turn the stove off before he carried me to bed. "This is our little secret," he whispered before he left hours before dawn. It was such a strange thing to say that I thought I'd misheard him. But later I understood. There was no way my husband had enough vacation time saved up to visit me. He must have taken sick leave without permission, and then ran like. There was no way my husband had enough vacation time saved up to visit me. He must have taken sick leave without permission, and then ran like hell to make his airline connections. Sweet as it had been, it was risky. If he got caught, he might even lose his job. That must have been why he asked me not to mention our magical night together. The co-worker of one of the bosses on the rig overheard us. Even just telling him about the pregnancy was risky, but I couldn't wait any longer. We'd been trying so hard for a baby before he left, but no luck. Now that it had finally happened, he deserved to know. I took a deep breath and launched the video call. Our relationship had been long distance for months now, but I still got a flutter in my chest while I waited for the call to connect. The background appeared first. Ugly industrial furniture, bunk beds, gunmetal grey walls plastered with photos of the two of us together. Then I saw his face, blurry, pixelated. but unmistakably my husband. After all this time, we can never figure out who should talk first. I just blurted it out. Babe, I've got news. I'm pregnant. As always, the connection was weak, making my husband's expression unreadable. What, honey? He stammered, running his hand over his face. When did this happen? When were you planning on telling me? Well, I mean, it's pretty obvious when it happened, right? I laughed. I would have told you sooner, but you asked me not to mention it. My husband stood up, looked around for eavesdroppers, then shut the door. I let out a sigh of relief. We could finally speak freely, and I needed that. I needed to hear what he really thought, because based on his reaction so far, he didn't seem excited. He seemed worried, upset even, and I couldn't understand why. We'd talked about this dozens of times, and I had been sure we were on the same page about having a child. Okay, now I need you to explain to me very carefully what's going on. I'm sure it happened that night, I whispered into the laptop microphone. You know, the night you visited 4 months ago. I wanted to tell you sooner, but you told me it was our little secret. This is a joke, right? My husband grabbed his forehead and groaned. Please tell me this is a joke, because, babe, I haven't been off the rig since I got here. I blinked, confused. This wasn't happening. This couldn't be happening. A sudden buzz made me jump. The apartment intercom. My breath caught in my throat as I stared at the tiny screen. The face and the voice, looking into it, were identical to that of my husband on an oil rig thousands of miles away. Hi, honey, the thing on my doorstep said in my husband's voice. I bought some more flowers for you and the baby. And that's it. And I forgot to say, that was by user Beardiffy. Beardiffy? Beardiffy? Beardiffy. Birdify. Beardify. I don't know how to say it, and now I can just imagine beardifying someone. Like beardifying someone. Beardifying gun. And all of a sudden, beard, beard, beard. Ah, my brain's a brilliant place to be fucking stuck in. Yay! Right, and on that note, bang on 10:30, because apparently I can do timing right sometimes. It's time for Slim Stream. So it is drunken news tonight. So, drunken news, just wisdom news, because let's face it, he's always a little drunk. That's the adorable. Anyway, so I will see all of you guys over there at Slim Stream. And I'm going to start, but I'm going to start being better at actually getting back on doing every Wednesdays. And I do want to actually keep to the fucking promise. I do want to keep to doing what I said I wanted to do with games. I've downloaded a fuckload of horror game demos. And I'm trying to start on the history thing, but considering doing that would mean videos and editing. I haven't done any video editing in like, well, I was like 17, 18 when I did it. I'm now 32, about to be 33. So I'm very much out of practice, and like it's going to take a while for me to be able to do it and do it well. So yeah, and I don't think they will do well as live streams, you know? We'll see. But yeah, because if it's edited, it can be less rambly, like, you know, the thing I'm doing right now. Yep, excuses. I have all the excuses. Thing is, though, if they're true, they're not excuses, they're fucking reasons. Anyway, see you all later. See you all in a minute on SimStream or next week. Have a nice night either way. Bye bye.